Hey guys, good to see you again. So today we're finally taking a look at the NeTi type. Now the NeTi type is the alpha type that is also a explorer type or a PE lead type. And this type sits in between the NeFi from the delta quadrant and the SETI from the beta quadrant. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Here we go. So the first sample we're taking a look at here is Drake Bell.
These things called Where's Walter? Walter was the dad.
Okay, so quickly the Vultology. We can see here the gentle embedding of the eyes. Notice how there's no resistance in the ocular tension to the eyes. The eyes sit very comfortably within their sockets. And the smile has a very zygomatic pull with just 2 points of tension here without 2 bottom points of tension. And as you can see here, let me turn this up a little bit. There's also a lot of fluidity in the body. Casual hands, loose body swaying. So yeah, we see the alpha Vultology and we see this loose, casual, fluid, proactive PE Vultology. And you can see here more clearly even the eyes have that very gentle embedding. They have that naive quality to them. So a few things about Drake Bell. He's an American actor, singer, and songwriter and musician. Actor, singer-songwriter. There's a singer-songwriter again. It seems like all the PE leads have that. And musician. Right, he's a musician, specifically a guitarist, as you can see here and here. Now, he also incorporated his guitar playing in his show, his most famous show that he's known for, from back in the day, and this is Drake and Josh. So let's listen into the video.
These things called Where's Walter? Walter was the dad on Drake and Josh. And me and Jonathan, who plays Walter, were sitting down at lunch one day and we were thinking of just some funny YouTube things to do, and he's like, what if Walter went crazy and he becomes some homeless guy and we don't know why he ran away? It's just something happened. He just went nuts. I'm like, that's a great idea.
What he just did right there is part of like this what if XYZ. You know, we saw that also with the NeFIs, right? These little skits that he is enacting with his body as well as these hypothetical tangents. So there's a bit of that.
And I'm like, you know what? I just bought all this camera equipment. Let's just go shoot something real quick. So we went and had some fun, and it kind of snowballed into this whole thing where we got Yvette, who played Helen, to come back, and Nancy, who played Audrey, my mom, and the great Doheen. I mean, we had all these characters coming back.
Characters coming back from the Drake and Josh show.
Doing these little snippets from the show, and it's like a high school reunion. Everybody was we were all such great friends, and everybody got along so well on that show that any inkling of us being able to get back together, we all jump at, you know. So yeah. It's just now you just got to convince Josh. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You guys have a legendary chemistry, I think is fair to say.
Thank you. And honestly, I mean, I don't think I've been able to attain that type of chemistry with anyone else in the world ever.
Really?
Even like a girlfriend, you know what I mean?
So there's some sense of humor there, just as we saw here with Usain Bolt, with playful banter, a sense of humor.
Because I mean, he and I have such a connection when it's weird, man. I mean, because we've been together since we were kids. I remember when we were 11, 12 years old, we were on the Amanda show, and I would go, you know, I'd go hang out at his house.
Notice here the body swaying again continues, and the eyes are darting around.
Sleepovers, and we'd sit up at night, and I'd go, okay, what's our show going to be about? You know, and we would come up with these ideas and everything, and we not even think.
Another skit right there. Okay, what? So he's enacting the moment that he's referring to by kind of simulating it in present day. So let me add that here, parodies and sense of humor, which actually is important because he's also a comedian. He does these skits, and a lot of what he does is comedic material.
I don't have to talk to him. I don't have to, hey Josh, can we just look at each other? It's like, no, I know.
Again, simulating the conversation with the parody.
On a scene together, and man, we fell right back into it, huh? I'm like, dude, I told you, man. I'm like, there's something there between us that, you know, it's once in a lifetime in this business. I mean, it's a Martin and Lewis. It's an Abbott and Costello. It's a Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. You know, Gene Wilder ain't gonna go find another Richard Pryor. You know, you know, we have our tiffs and stuff, but I love that guy so much.
Cool. So that's the end of this video. There's more that could be said about him, but let's continue on to the next person. This is actually one of our volunteers, Puffs. And so thank you, Puffs, for lending us this video of you. Let's go into it. So once again, we see here naive, gentle embedding of the eyes and the darting around. Notice that they're kind of scattered. Yep, Those are called the brushstroke eye toggles. And the smile has here, as you can see, mainly a zygomatic pull with not much tension down at the bottom. There's a symmetry to the smile. So the eyes and the mouth correspond to the alpha quadrant. So as far as the energetics go, we can see here that it's got some fidgeting, and the eyes are toggling around. So restless momentum, eye toggles, and let's see what he's, yeah, and the casual hands as well. Yeah, and so he's got fluid posture, fidgeting, and an overall relaxation, and overall just kind of loose energy. So listening in here, I think the question was if you could have one skill.
To get good at things I want to get good at like a little bit faster.
To get good at things you want to get good at a little bit faster.
What if you could just wish to be good at them?
That's not fun.
You want to go through the process?
Yeah, I just don't want it to be quite as like drawn out and boring.
What would you want to be good at?
Right now guitar. I really want to I basically for the past few weeks I basically just when I have free time I'm trying to play guitar.
So if you could have one skill, he'd want to learn to play guitar.
And just other music production, just generally creative things. I'm a special creative person.
I'm a special creative person.
Yeah. Smoke some weed, guys.
They had good weed back then. Like back in the 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my coworkers, or it's not my old coworkers, 60-something, who had seeds he saved from the 70s that he did, I got to smoke, authentic 70s weed. It was just, because he saved the seeds,
Okay.
and he just stored them so he planted them years later, it's basically, 70s weed just now.
Is it better quality than other stuff?
It was weed. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really notice the difference, but I like being able to say I smoked 70s weed.
I like to be able to say I smoked 70s weed, even though there wasn't really a noticeable difference. Okay. For anyone who's wondering, it's legal in the state that he's in, so yeah, no problem there. You can see the eyes here are very wandery, wobbly head movements, casual hands. You can see he's kind of warming up in the interview a bit more now.
Somewhere coastal up north.
So he says he wants to move somewhere coastal up north.
I don't want to stay anywhere for too long.
He doesn't want to stay anywhere for too long. Okay. So he has this nomadic element. Knowing him, he's kind of a wanderer, you could say.
It's very funny. I got the job doing some data students worked out. Basically, it's just I want to go find something to do, I guess. Yeah, I have a couple of friends who all have different experience in different parts of the coffee shop world. So honestly, it really got hard to get a couple of guys together and we could scratch some money together and open up a little coffee shop.
Okay. So for people that are volunteers like him, I'm relying more on quotes of what they say since we don't have a wiki page we can rely on. So we have here, for example, Drake Bell and Puffs both have musical interests, specifically guitar. Actually, let me add that here. He's a guitarist. And Puffs is a very laid-back person. He's a creative individual. He's a guitarist. And yeah, he's kind of a free spirit who doesn't like to stay bound to a location for too long. He likes to explore and wander different places and try different things out. So maybe I'll just add here traveling. Okay, so that's the end of our video for Puffs here. Our next one on the list is someone who you might know. This is PewDiePie. So here we go.
Hey, it's me, and she's back, everyone.
Okay, so I picked this video where he's with his fiance here at the time because this is one of his most natural videos, and he gets a little bit stiff and awkward in some of the interviews that he's had with other people to his own admission. So I thought this was the best video. So she's on screen, but we're focusing on PewDiePie here. Now you can see here very clearly the gentle embedding of the eyes, also just as we saw here with Puffs and as we saw with Drake Bell. So you can see very similar Vultology here between these individuals. All of them have a very similar sort of look to them. Here, for example, you can see the gentle embedding of the eyes, and here as well as the zygomatic smiles.
How does it feel?
I don't know. It's weird. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. So oh, What is happening with Marcia? Is she hiding in your basement? Is she having a pug factory? What is she doing?
They're answering questions so to the audience, so there's going to be a little bit of that here.
How is Marcia doing? And what is Marcia doing? Usually when someone recognizes me,
The eye toggles. Notice here the gentle, fluttery element to the
when
eyes.
someone recognizes me or us, they'll come to me first, and then they're like, Marcia, you can too in the therapy.
Parody, yeah, just like we saw with Drake Bell here. So parodies. PewDiePie is a Swedish YouTuber known for his Let's Play videos and comedic formatted videos and shows. Let's Play videos, comedic formatted videos and shows. Yep. I mean, you guys know this already, but in case you don't know, here's just a little example of what he does.
I feel like I'm motherfucking stuck in this duck. It makes me wanna quack. Like, what the fuck is that? Oh, you're gonna make a tower. Make a tower, go left. Yes, that's right, that's right. That's not right! You call that right, woman? No! 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 It's my car! It's my car! Oh shit. Bros, I think oh shit, he's running! What are you doing?
His eyes.
I choose you, Pikachu!
See, it's hilarious. So, okay, as you can see, he does gameplay, video games, and he commentates over it, and he has a bunch of random comedic moments where he just says whatever's on his mind, and he kind of just goes on these tangents. He does these parodies, lots and lots and lots of parodies in his videos. And he alternates his voice to sound like different personas, different caricatures. So he definitely fits in the same shade as the NEFIs, which we were seeing, which were also doing these comedic parody skits as well. So yeah, when it says comedic formatted videos and shows, that's kind of what it's meant. So also video gaming. He kind of took off with his horror reaction videos, and he became one of the fastest growing channels from 2012 to 2017 before becoming the most subscribed YouTuber in 2013. So adding that here. So during this period of popularity, his content shifted from Let's Play only to other things like vlogs, comedic shorts, like the formatted videos that we saw in music videos. So I'm going to hit vlogging and music videos. Time magazine named him one of the 100 most influential people. Okay. His popularity online also noted a boost in sales for the titles he plays and has allowed him to stir support for charity fundraising drives. Okay, so support for charity fundraising drives. Awesome. All right, so here we go.
Oh yeah, she did,
And
yeah.
then they were like, oh, feelings.
They seem to make an effort even to be like, oh, Marcia, I love Marcia so much. Marcia is the best YouTuber.
Keep
More parodies.
doing that.
I wait. Pass time. Oh, Maria. Hey guys, what's up? It's been a long time. No one cared that I left the channel too.
Modulation of voice.
Oh, with Mike.
You see this with Jim Carrey too, which, by the way, Jim Carrey is also NETI, which we'll see a little bit future. He's not standard development, so he's not in this video, but he also does this thing. Like the face, notice like PewDiePie does these different faces, and he plays with his voice. This kind of thing is very characteristic of Jim Carrey, and we also see it here with PewDiePie. But okay, I think we understand here the Vultology and the psychology of PewDiePie, so we could go on much more about him because he's got a lot. But let's move on to the next sample now. This next one is Bill Wurtz.
Music.
So you can see here the eyes, the wandering eyes, the brushstroke toggles, and the gentle embedding of the eyes. They're sunk into their sockets, and the fluidity. You can see the body is kind of has what's called bubbling momentum, this undercurrent of fidgeting happening. So we have also casual body, fluid body, head bobbling, casual hands. Yep, so we see the PE, and the mouth tension is also FE.
Right.
Yep. And one thing that's different about him is that he has more of a directive FE attitude. So you'll see he's a bit more stoic than the ones above, which are a bit more agreeable. But other than that, it's the same Vultology and the same development. Let's listen in here.
Musician, video producer,
Nice.
YouTuber.
The interviewer is describing him. So he's a musician, video producer, YouTuber,
What?
Artist.
Artist.
artist. Let's add those. Musician, video producer, YouTuber, artist. Okay.
Artist, most certainly.
Person?
Person.
Person. Just kidding.
the Gonna Mail You My Floor got about 200 likes very quickly on Vine, which 200 compared to 0 is like,
That's like it.
So he was on Vine. This is kind of where he took off.
what's happening?
Right.
Doing these little shorts that were kind of comedic shorts. So a little about him, actually.
What is love? Fruit, no. Bread, no. Fruit and bread, probably not. Is it a conversation? Is it a fruitful sales deal?
Yes.
Actually, no. Is it a hearty breakfast?
So this is some of the stuff that he does. So you can see very kind of random ideas, very out of the box correlations to things and humor.
My favorite brand. Is it a 4-letter word that you can use in various ways that are mostly positive? Hell yeah.
So he has this very out of the box humor that he's known for. It's kind of his trademark. And bright colors and trippy, almost hallucinogenic graphics are also part of his kind of signature thing. So let me add some of this here. So I'm going to add comedian for sure. Bright psychedelic colors and graphics, out of the box humor. So this is what made him famous on different social media. So here we go.
School on Vine. I don't want to go to school. And then it was shaving my piano. And then it was
shaving my piano.
Oh, nothing. I was just shaving my piano.
Right. Again, right. Out of the box humor. Yeah, so that's the shape of my piano. I guess that also launched him into fame.
long time, just
Really?
like, I don't care. You
How
know,
long were you doing it before anybody noticed?
Well, I started the 5-day schedule in early 2014, which is basically where I just snapped. Because before that, it was like I wanted to do a million things and thought I could do anything.
Okay, wanted to do a million things, thought I could do anything.
But didn't know how to put it together. But
didn't know how to put it together.
Somewhere along the line, I just snapped and I just said, okay, we're doing 5 days a week. Video every day. I didn't even know about Vine.
So he imposed a discipline on himself because he just was all over the place doing almost everything and wanting to do everything. So he restricted himself to a video a day, 5 a week.
I like to be able to pause it and horse it around and really see what you're...
The way that his head kind of moves around very playfully, very much PE energy, but also a little bit of what's called levity, the NE levity.
Dealing with, so
yeah.
So yeah, I didn't really like YouTube, but he was like, well, you know, you got to be on YouTube. So okay, so I did YouTube, which is pretty cool. But
I
put them there. I started putting them all there in order, and I had to do a little bit of editing to squarify them, and in some cases edit them down to 6 from, in some cases, 20 seconds down to 6. So that was kind of fun. But so many reasons why I love the speed. And
the speed relates to, so he put him on Vine, he had to cut him down to Vine. Vine is very quick, right? So, and that was very convenient to him because otherwise he wouldn't have gotten anything done. So he could more easily, you know, bust out one a day of those little clips. And so that actually got him to get over this wanting to do a million things and thinking of all these ideas, but not being able to execute. So it was critical for his success. And one of the things about his success actually is that his graphics, they're very scrappy, they're very scrapbooky, and you can tell that although there is some editing, the editing isn't like cinematic level. It's kind of just hodgepodge together. And that kind of hodgepodging is reflective of the fact that he wasn't putting so much time into each one, but he was just kind of go, go, go. So this idea of just kind of do it, get it done, rather than like obsess over it is part of what allowed him to thrive.
The schedule. So many reasons. It's life or death. I mean, well, that's not true because some of them were done without a schedule and they needed to be. But when I'm off schedule, I get obsessed with schedules and I start watching behind the scenes Seinfeld.
So I'm going to put here schedules, transformed workflow. Schedules are life or death.
Are you a fan of Japanese culture in any way?
But I'm not an expert really. I mean, I was temporarily.
The thing about Japanese culture here refers to one of his most famous videos, which was about the history of Japan. And his most famous video of all is called The History of the World, I guess. So these two videos here, this one of which has 148 million views, and this one has 75 million views. So this is what really made him go completely viral. And actually this matters because these videos are like, they're hilarious and humorous, just as the ones that we see here with the shaving the piano and these little shorts here. But the key difference here is that these are, like in this case, 19 minutes and a half of pure, dense historical content. And so if you watch these videos here, you'll see that he's a little bit of a history buff. And so I'm going to add here to the matrix world history. But okay, I want to take a sec here and summarize what we're seeing so far. So we are seeing very strong correlations of parity between these individuals and comedy. Specifically, Drake Bell as a comedian, actor, and also PewDiePie with his hilarious commentary with video game playing, and him, Bill Wurtz, with his very hilarious short clips and quibs that have a kind of, here's a second element, kind of out-of-the-box random things. The out-of-the-boxness is also seen in PewDiePie. So the style of the NeTi here that we see, of the humor, is very similar across them. Secondly, we see a motif of a musician. Bill Wurtz is a musician. As we can see here, for example, he's doing an interview with a Genius, but also PewDiePie has done music videos, and Puffs wanted to learn guitar, and Drake Bell also is a singer-songwriter and a musician and guitarist himself. So two big motifs here, but okay. So now we're going to move on to Bret McKenzie, who is an actor.
Pretty exciting. You know, you sit at these tables with other nominees, and
who'd you get?
Meryl Streep was at my table.
Pretty good.
Eyes again,
like her table, really. But,
darting around,
yeah,
gently embedded, smiles, zygomatic smiles.
Is it Bret's table?
She's probably doing interviews today saying, I was
Fluid body.
so nervous. Bret was at my table.
Loose body swaying, yep.
Yeah.
So a little bit about Bret McKenzie. He is part of a duo called Flight of the Conchords, and this is him here with the duo, as well as here. They mostly play instruments like guitar, but a few other things as well. They're a comedy duo, so comedy and music, once again, are being combined. I thought I was done with this shade, but no, apparently not. So I'm going to add here musician, musical duo, Flight of the Conchords, and comedian. But aside from Flight of the Conchords, he's also most famous for, well, I guess two other things. One of them is, of course, having played an elf in the Lord of the Rings movies, but the second one is having been nominated for Best Song in a Muppets movie, here with Hermit the Frog. So let me add that here. Academy Award for Man or Muppet Song. Okay, coming back around here.
Pretty exciting. You know, you sit at these tables with other nominees, and
who'd you get?
So he's talking about that when he was nominated, what happened. He had a lunch with them.
Meryl Streep was at my table.
Pretty good.
I guess it was more like her table, really. But yeah, it was pretty exciting.
See, she's saying today, you know, is it Bret's table?
She's probably doing interviews today saying, I was so nervous. Bret was at my table.
More parodies and skits.
Yeah.
Maybe a tuxedo t-shirt would be appropriate.
I was thinking that would be pretty awesome to wear one of those.
Well, that's, you know, people will expect that from you. Like, you know, when the South Park boys went to the Academy Awards.
Maybe under my shirt.
You can wear the tuxedo under the tuxedo?
The tuxedo t-shirt underneath, yeah.
Because, you know, the South Park guys went for their song, and they went in drag, I think.
Oh, really?
Yes. This is a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, something to live up to.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
So you're not really seen as the wacky member of the Conchords?
Nah. I don't think. I'm going for more sophisticated look.
You're the cerebral
yeah.
member of the
That's
duo.
right. I'm the philosopher. The musical philosopher.
So sense of humor probably goes without saying, but let me add that anyway.
One of you has to be the cute one. One of you has to be the, you know, moody one.
Right. Yeah. I know. We have to be split personalities to cover it all
to get
bases.
the whole thing going.
Yeah.
It's
a funny thing. Like, it's a comedy partners. It ends up being like a marriage. It's, you know, and because you work together so much. So at the moment we're like separated as we do other projects.
You guys should do an official breakup so you
I
can
know.
get back together.
And it's tempting to just announce breakups.
That's right.
Every few months.
Just so you get a little press action going, all excitement. Ooh,
yeah, it's a good idea.
And then you can, when you have the reunion.
Yeah. Back together again.
That's right.
Yeah.
Finally, they found them.
The interviewer is kind of guiding the conversation here, but he's also kind of riffing off of him. I think they both have this element of the sense of humor where they kind of bounce ideas back and they kind of get into this simulated scenario further and further out in left field.
Even ground.
Yeah, it's a good idea, like Oasis. And just start doing concerts where we just fight on stage, just throw things at each other.
I like that.
They only did 3 songs.
And they just left.
Then bail. But actually have another gig booked down the road.
Right, so he's taking the scenario further and further, adding more and more hypothetical elaboration.
I'm liking this. I think
it's
this
a good
is
idea,
like
yeah, you're right.
This is a 6-month arc for you guys.
Yeah.
So it seems like New Zealand keeps you sane. Like actually being away from all of this craziness.
Yeah, New Zealand's great for just, you know, forgetting about Hollywood, which can be quite a strange place because it's all so, everyone's so career driven and it's all about work and what's your next film and what are you doing. And
Loose,
in New
casual
Zealand,
body.
The ambition of the stereotype in New Zealand is the ambition is to do nothing. Like that's the aim, is to go fishing or to be on a beach just chilling out. That's a success story. Whereas in America, a success story is like busy doing everything.
Doing the Super Bowl halftime.
Yeah. As if I want to do that. Like that's not my dream. 10 years from now, Super Bowl. That's my aim.
So yeah, he's not super crazy about ambition. He's also very chill and laid back. And he attributes this to being a New Zealander, but I kind of think it actually reflects himself more specifically. I'm going to put here. So the ambition of a New Zealander is to do nothing, go fishing, not the Super Bowl.
I think you guys doing the Super Bowl halftime though would be the greatest.
That would be pretty hilarious. Like some big fireworks and stuff, and then just
another simulated hypothetical.
Us with a xylophone and a guitar, trying to figure out the chord.
I like that idea.
Let me add that specifically. Simulated hypothetical scenarios. Cool. Okay, that's the end of this video. So that was good. I think we got a good handle on Bret McKenzie here. So surprisingly, also fits the musician shade of the ones above. For whatever reason, also is guitar. So let me just add here, since we're doing it for the other ones. And okay, so now going back here, I do want to present an alternate view of the NETIs because not all of them are comedians or musicians, of course. And so here we have somebody else who is of a different shade. This is Michael Huemer, who is a philosopher, who actually is a philosopher, unlike Bret McKenzie above.
You know, like this is one response to the liar paradox to say, oh, it's both true and false.
So
right.
Vultologically, we see the fluid body, very big leans, fidgeting, the eyes darting around, looking up to the side. The gentle embedding of the eyes is clear there. The smile is zygomatic and 2 points, not 4 points. Casual hands, as you saw there. Yep. So similar Vultology as the others. And here we can see his alpha features even more clearly. The gentle embedding of the eyes, the laxness of the cheeks, you know, the more TI neutralization of affect, and then sitting super chill on a table, which is kind of like very interesting because, you know, here he is an academic, but at the same time he's kind of still goofy and isn't as serious as other academics in his energy, you know, but his ideas, of course, are a different matter. Which, let's get into some of his ideas, actually, because I think they would be very relevant.
You know, like this is one response to the liar paradox to say, oh, it's both true and false, right? And
the liar paradox is, for example, saying something like this statement is false, which seems to contradict itself in its own statement.
And so it's a contradiction, maybe contradictions to be true, like this Graham Priest and J.C. Peele's view. And, you know, why do I not like this? And then, you know, they have these books in which they work out a logic in which you can have true contradictions. And this sort of like you have to modify the rules of inference so that, you know, you can't derive just everything from the true contradiction. Oh, okay. Anyway, and, you know, my problem with these approaches is not about the logic. Like when I'm not worried about the explosion problem, right? Like the result that, you know, you could derive any proposition whatsoever. That's not what worries me about contradictions. What worries me is that I think if you just understand what contradiction means, it just entails that they can't be true.
So if you understand what contradiction means, it just entails that it can't be true.
And, you know, if you understand what the word not means, it just excludes the possibility of P and not P being true, right?
B and not B being true,
So,
okay. So he's getting more at the semantics of this. The fact that there's a contradiction nullifies the proposition. Let me put some of this down here before we go too far. Liar paradox. A contradiction entails that it cannot be true. You can't have B and not B simultaneously. So if it seems like something is B and not B simultaneously, that just that can't be so. So the statement itself seems to be kind of null.
There's a certain range, you know, there you have a proposition A and there's some range of possibilities, possible worlds, whatever, in which A counts as being true. And that's just fixed by the, you know, like the meanings of the words that are used to express this. And by definition, not A refers to everything else, right? Not A means any other possibility, right? So then if you say, oh, I'm imagining a possibility in which A and not A both hold, then you're confused. You haven't understood what not means.
Now, this is interesting because his approach here, his philosophical approach, seems to be very kind of like tautological, right? Almost like clarifying the tautologies of what is a contradiction, what is a statement, what is a sentence with meaning, for example. And so if we take a look at the broader video in which this clip comes from, we hear him say this at the beginning here, for example.
And you may not actually find the truth about philosophical issues, but you'll at least have views that are coherent.
You may not find the truth of philosophical issues, but you at least have views that are coherent.
That are like, definitely meaningful or something like that, even if they're wrong. So it's like, you can be less wrong. Anyway, and why do you care about that? Because like the philosophical issues are important to understand your overall place in the universe.
Care for philosophical issues matters for knowing your overall universal place.
And it's just sort of like, it's cognitively good to at least be able to think clearly about your overall place in the universe.
Okay. Yeah, and just a little clip here as well from him.
I don't find something wrong with the concept of truth per se. There's something wrong with the rules of the language specifically. It's more like an inconsistency in inconsistent imperatives, like when somebody directs you to do something that can't be done, logically can't be done. Okay, so the language gives us directions for how to assign propositions as the meanings of particular sentences.
So language gives us directions for assigning propositions as meanings of sentences. Right. So I'll stop there for a sec, because philosophy can go on for a long time, and this is a 2-hour video. But so we read from Wikipedia that Michael Huemer is a professor of philosophy at the University of Colorado. He has defended ethical intuitionism, direct realism, libertarianism, veganism, and philosophical anarchism. Okay. Direct realism, veganism, and philosophical anarchism. The philosophical anarchism specifically is evidenced in some of his books. For example, here with this book, The Problem of Political Authority, an examination of the right to coerce and the duty to obey. So Michael Huemer in this book and other contents of his, he questions the supposed right that our countries give themselves to exist, really. And so in a way, he casts doubt, kind of like intellectual doubt, on even the concept of a country. And so it's very interesting because it's very deconstructionist, right? It's very deconstructing concepts to the bones and kind of being left with very little. So let me put that here. The Problem of Political Authority. Another book is Skepticism and the Veil of Perception. Okay. And another book here is Knowledge, Reality, and Value, a mostly common sense guide to philosophy. I find that mostly common sense kind of hilarious. But I think it's because he's a questioner, he's a doubter, he's a skeptic, and therefore, even in his assertion of things, he's skeptical. Okay, and let me clean this up. Okay, that's organized a bit better and a bit less redundant. But so we can see here quite a different shade of NETI. Rather than being a comedian shade or a musician shade, we have here somebody who thinks deeply about kind of the underpinnings of ideas, the underpinnings of the language we use to construct our ideas, and advocating for a clear, rational thought, and then also kind of playing this kind of deconstructionist game with some of the core ideas that others seem to take for granted. So that's Michael Huemer, one shade of NETI intellectual. Now there's more NETI intellectuals I have, but they have different developments, and we're just doing the standard developments in these videos for now. So I'll stop here with this shade, and now we're going to move on to the NETI female samples. Beginning here first with Lights Bokan.
Those things to my music now, like astronomy and comics. And
so you can see here the zygomatic smile, 2 points of tension.
Right? I put all these into my music videos and into the
body sways, eye toggles, more eye toggles, and the eyes have this gentle embedding, this very bright, naive look to them here.
I mean, from day one.
Yep, you can see it there.
Something that I always believed I was going to do, and I had visions of it, and I would sit there as a little kid.
Symmetrical mouth movements.
Not in a British accent, but it was.
Yeah, very clear alpha face, and fluid PE energy. So this is an NeTi female. And just like so many of the other ones we saw, Lights is also a musician. She's a singer. And more specifically, she's a performer. So she's a singer-songwriter and performer, as you can see here, and a bit of a DJ as well. So yeah, so I'm gonna add here, singer-songwriter, musician, because she plays instruments, performer, and DJ. Now, as far as psychology goes, I'm gonna play the same video, but in the full version.
Ever since I was a little kid, I was always singing, and I always had other things I was interested in, obviously, and I apply those things to my music now, like astronomy and comics and sci-fi, right? I put all these into my music videos. And
so she pulls inspiration from her childhood love of astronomy, comics, and sci-fi.
Into the world I'm drawing from, but at the core of it, the music's where it's at. I mean, from day one, it's something that I always believed I was going to do.
So music is something she always believed she was going to do.
And I had visions of it, and I would sit there as a little kid in front of the mirror doing interviews in a British accent. I don't know why. And I think it's just because I knew someday that's what I was going to be doing. Not in a British accent, but it was funner.
So as a child, she would do mock interviews in a British accent. Yeah, there's a little bit of a parody element to this too, like we saw with the others. It's kind of a little meme, the British meme that she's riffing off of. Okay.
More fun. I think if you really, really, truly believe something's going to happen. Also, I believe in like destiny, and that if you're meant to do something, it's going to be put inside you.
I believe in destiny, and if you're meant to do something, it'll be put inside you. Cool.
To know that that's what you're supposed to do. The way I look at it is there's this, everywhere around you, there's this realm, this invisible realm that you can't see, and there's lyrics and ideas floating all around. And
there's this invisible realm all around you with ideas and lyrics floating around.
And you have to grab them when you can, and when you notice them. And there's only certain times and certain ways you can feel that you can notice them. So whether it's texting them to myself, or writing them on memo on my PC, or when I'm at home recording, or in a back room sitting there with my guitar, wherever you can, you pull ideas together. And I have just megabytes and megabytes and megabytes and megabytes full of song ideas that will probably not go anywhere, but the idea is to keep that going. And then when you actually settle down to write a song, you pull from all of that. So a song like Drive My Soul, for example, that came from a number of ideas that I just, you start to play with like an organ sound, and then all the sentiments of what you're feeling in that moment start to help you narrow down what lyric ideas that you previously collected are going to work for that, and then you start to put it all in. And it's this weird, intricate marriage of the lyrics and the melody that happen at the same time, and it's kind of magical. It's weird to explain, but there's really no technical way about it, and they can be different every time.
So magical marriage of the lyrics and music. Hard to explain. Yeah, I mean, musicians in general say things like this. We saw Michael Jackson say that if he felt like it comes from above, comes from God, something magical, something, transcendent.
I think it's when you get to a point where you're so comfortable that you can think about other things on stage and think about how you're going to make it fun for yourself. Because you're playing the same songs over and over, essentially. And you find a new spirit in the songs every night that you never saw before.
Okay, nice. So I think we have enough motifs here. So that's Lights Bokan. And our second example of an NeTi female is another singer, and this is Christina Perri. So let's play this one.
I think what's cool is it was a dance show, and I'm not a dancer.
So we see here again the loose body swaying, casual hands, the head tilts to the side, eye toggling, the symmetrical lips, the way that the smiles go off zygomatically. Her eyes are toggling around. Let's see that again. Look at her eyes, up, down, sideways. You see the body kind of lifting itself with this buoyancy. And then you have the parodies.
I completely stay out of that stuff. No, well, I kind of was, because it was like
so you can see there the way the eyes are kind of darting around and fluttering. There you go again.
My own record label for that first month, and I think we sold like 2.
So you can see the lubrication in her eyes, the way they're scattered and wandering. So it's very similar to Kate Micucci, who also had kind of this natural anatomical sharpness, but overall her energy is very divergent and scattered and floaty. Floaty energy is seen here also with Christina Perri. Now, listening into what she
I
says,
think what's cool is like it was a dance show and I'm not a dancer, like it was just my song.
the dance show that she's talking about is part of like where she blew up and became famous, which is this one here. So You Think You Can Dance, her song was used in the show, and that was part of how she rose to popularity. So that's what she's talking about in this interview.
So I think TV was always pretty powerful that way. But I think like today, you know, it wasn't YouTube, it wasn't, you know, it was just like a good old-fashioned TV show and people going to their computers and buying. Like I've sold 2 million singles, and like people don't need to buy music anymore. Like why would they buy it, you know? So that totally like freaks me out and blows my mind.
Do you keep track of sales?
Me, no. I only know that I sold 2 million because I got a plaque. But like, and my record label and managers, they're like numbers, and I'm like la 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 la. Like I completely stay out of that stuff. So I had to be like I just became my own record label for that first month. And I think we sold like 200,000 before I signed the record deal, which was awesome because when I signed the record deal, they were like, okay, you know, do what you're doing and don't change, and here's a box, but you don't need to fit inside it, and you know, you can keep all your baby songs. And because I came to the record label with success, you know, like, which is so rare and never happens. And it's really what I wake up every morning really grateful for the most, is that, you know, I wear what I want to wear, I say what I want to say, I get tattoos all the time, like no.
So she enjoys the freedom of not being told what to do or say, and she gets tattoos. Right, actually, she's known for that. But yeah, so she wasn't told what to do. She really appreciated the freedom.
Nobody has stepped in and said, you know, start being this. And I feel like, as weird as that may sound, like that's really rare today. You know, I don't have to fit into a shtick. I don't have one.
And it has the fact that you sort of had to hurry up to not lose momentum after that show. Has that been an advantage?
I think it's like a little positive and a little negative. It's like definitely positive for the business and the fact that I didn't slow down, but negative for like my health and like I'm tired and I don't have days off.
So in the rest of this interview, they talked about how when she went viral, she rolled with the momentum and just kind of kept going and going and going without stopping for like over a year. And but they had consequences
Often.
like this.
But like it's worth it, you know, like what happens when, because I think very easily my whole career could have just plummeted if we weren't right there with a plan. So my family and Atlantic Records and my managers, you know, I called them my family, like we just made all the right decisions, but I didn't think of some of this stuff. You know, it's a joint thing. Like everybody really did their best.
She took the momentum of success and went nonstop. So she devised a plan with the help of friends and family to help her out. Okay, great. So that's the end of this video for Christina Perri. Now we're going to move on to our final sample, and this is Eliza Dushku.
Usually like watch all the beginnings, and then as people start to get loosey-goosey, I'm like, good night.
Very NE there.
See you bright and early tomorrow.
With the Effie smile,
The
the gentle eyes, the concerned scowl of NE.
the other cast did get a chance to explore. I actually kind of popped in for a few days. I was working on something else.
So for Eliza Dushku, we have here that she is an actress. She's best known for starring as Faith in the supernatural drama Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she also starred in Dollhouse. And so she played in a lot of other films, and she also has done voice work. Voice actress, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Dollhouse.
With us and different vintners and the families that, you know, we were one of the families we were portraying. They were so excited about the movie, and so they were just, you know, people were on set, and we got some good schooling on wine. I've always loved traveling, and it's for me, like I have usually gone, my family and I have usually used like the Lonely Planet guidebooks because
She's always loved traveling. Yeah, and she talks about that in other interviews as well. So traveling is really one of her main hobbies, which we see a little bit of above here with Puffs, where he says he also likes to travel.
Maybe I'd get involved in something in the travel world.
Oh, that could be cool.
It could be fun to do a show and be paid to like go to all these fabulous places and
Casual
run
hands,
around the world and
loose
also
body
do
swing.
things, you know, participate in like socially conscious activities and show how fun they can be. Because
Okay, participate in socially conscious activities. Right, so another thing about Eliza Dushku is she has a bit of an activistic edge to her. For example, here from Wiki, we read that she was on the board of directors of Thrive Gulu organization, which is the Trauma Healing and Reflection Center in Gulu. So I'm gonna add that here. And she was a role model to the campus leaders for her activism. And she was a national keynote speaker and was honored as a Global General Award winner along with the US Secretary at the MCN events in 2011. National keynote speaker, activist. Perfect. Okay, so that gives us enough for Eliza Dushku. And so here we have our NeTi female samples. So that brings us to the end of the NeTi standard development samples that we have here today. So as we discussed, we saw a lot of convergence in the motifs of comedy and also in the motifs of music, with plenty of singer-songwriters, both in the male and female club. We have some acting, for example, with Eliza Dushku, but also with Drake Bell. Now, Drake Bell was, so we have the combination here, singer-songwriter and actor and musician and guitarist. Guitarist crosses over into Puffs, who was also wanting to practice guitar. And down here also with Bret McKenzie, who is a guitarist. So we see some similarities to the SETIs from the Beta Quadrant in the sense that, for example, you have here singers and musicians and guitarists with Kenji Girac and Justin Bieber, Beyonce. But while these guys have more other focuses, for example, with athletics, football, and other things like that, you instead see a motif of comedy more so in the NeTis. Now, the motif of comedy was seen in the NEFIs. For example, Kristen Shaw is a comedian, Charlie Yee is a comedian as well, and Kate Micucci is a comedian who also plays the ukulele. And so we see more convergence with the NEFIs, as you would expect to see. So it's actually good that we're seeing more convergence between the NEFI, because that is the closest type to the NeTi. So once again, we were able to reproduce the motifs that are in the other 3 PE lead types in the alpha version of the same type. Now, there is a side to the NeTi that we only briefly touched upon with Michael Huemer, and this has to do with this more philosophical inclination and this deconstructive or reductionist tendency to kind of like peer beneath and behind assumptions, societal assumptions, and kind of strip them away, leaving you with like a kind of a bare bones structure. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next video, which is going to be about the TI-NE type, which will be the last type of the series. So I'm excited to show you guys that last video. And until then, see you guys around. Take care.